Hey everyone, ErikOnPaper here, and in case you hadn't figured it out, I'm Erik. So today we're going to be doing another redesign, similar to what I did of Hobgoblin, where this is Electro, how I'd like to see him done if we do Spider-Man 5. So let's take a look.
Fun fact, it took me 3 tries to get the pose that I wanted, and I tried a high angle, didn't work, a lower angle, it just wasn't feeling it, so eventually I found a book of poses and settled on one I liked where it looked like he was getting an energy orb ready. It was a book of photo reference poses. And also, I really wanted to try playing with Electro's face. I don't know who would be cast in the role, but because of the lower jaw being very exposed, it almost needed a Peter Weller type effect where an actor can really emote and just express themselves, even with that tiny little bit. So I gave him this kind of pointed jaw and really broad grin. And in the design of Electro, my interpretation of it, I was looking a little bit at the Sam Raimi New Goblin design that Harry Osborn was, as well as the 60s costume. And the first thing I had to do was eliminate the extended lightning bolts around the head. That, to be honest, just never really worked for me. And I thought if I was Electro, I would forget about that and I would be like crashing into door frames all the time. So now I'm getting a chance to experiment with something new here, a Pentel pocket brush. This was the first time I worked with it and thought, hey, might as well try it out on the show. And I love it. And I'm not being sponsored by Pentel, although if they want to, I would not object. Hint. Anyway, so the pocket brush gives a lot of resistance, which I don't typically find in other brushes. And I was able to get a really thin crackle, and I enjoyed that. And my concept is that Electro would kind of burn the marks into the armor himself, and I'm giving him some kind of insulation slash plating for protection, and the burn marks would be, I guess, him testing it out or something like that. And I had to keep his classic color scheme in there as well, but I didn't just want it to look like the 60s drawing, and the trend nowadays is to draw characters with a lot more mechanized surfaces to break up larger flat areas. In building miniatures, for example, they call that greebles, and that's things to just break up bits of design. If you look at a lot of Brian Hitch's artwork, for example, in the Ultimates, he does a lot of that, and Comic Trips did an excellent video on how he's the architect of a lot of the Marvel cinematic designs. But I digress, and now here we're getting into colors, and the first thing I'm doing is laying down a lot of grays, cool grays, and even though the costume would be primarily green, I wanted different color values in there. And a way to do that is to lay down grays first, and you can see me do this in the Mary Jane video, for example. And the grays provide a desaturated look because the green is essentially dying on top of that. And I want the metal to have a flatter appearance, so the electric vibes on him can stand out considerably and be more noticed, because let's be honest, when has Electro ever been about subtlety? And to be clear, no, this version of Electro or Electro will not be in the Spider-Man 4 fan film. This is just a bit of fun. It was a request that I found intriguing. And if we do a Spider-Man 5, if 4 goes well and we have a good time and everyone is really itching for it and the audience wants a Spider-Man 5, I'd be up for it. Would Electro be a bad guy in that? I don't know. We haven't really thought of a definitive story yet. He could be cool. Personally, I prefer the Shocker as a villain, electricity-based villain. But, Electro has a lot of fans. I will say, though, I am not a fan of how he looks in the Ultimates. I think that look was also what inspired the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Electro, which I also wasn't a fan of either. I think Jamie Foxx is a terrific actor, though I just didn't think that it was particularly well executed. Now, going in here with the yellows, but trying to make it a little more gold. So you go in with a brown Copic marker, and that implies a lot more of more of the shadowing, more modeling. If you just go in with brights, it will take away from the electricity effect that I'll be doing shortly, and that's why I added darker colors too, as well, just giving it a metallic sheen. And here, just like with the shoulder pads, adding in a gray value, but I am leaving parts of it deliberately white, and not just for the electricity on the costume, but that it's also going to reflect the light where the energy is coming from. And I feel that I've had a tendency to overdo it on my light sources, so now I'm downplaying it just a little bit. And when I inked the electricity, I went with an incredibly thin line. It gives it a little bit of a Silver Age effect where they still hadn't been able to do line holds yet, I don't believe. So it's kind of a fun retro look while still getting the Copic energy across. And with this piece, I didn't really feel like doing a background for it because I really wanted Electro to pop and stand out and be dynamic. This would be more of a design showcase piece that I would pitch to a client and say, here's my vision for the character, and I want the design to stand out on its own merits. Now here what I'm doing is I didn't add gray to these areas, but I'm going in with the same green markers that I used for the armor. And as you can see, without the gray there, the colors are a lot more vibrant and popping, and it implies a different material. In this case, I'm imagining almost like a, kind of like a latexy or rubber thing, just something that doesn't give it a metallic hue. And just going in and working all the details here, color in splotches. So I imagine that some of this was Electro testing out on his armor / burning things in. Plus, I personally don't like a perfectly uniform line, or even just like traditional straight everything perfect. I think a shredded look looks pretty cool. Maybe that's just the era I grew up in. I went with that for the boots. I might change that if the director wanted something else, but we'll see. And here's the final look for Electro, and I think he turned out pretty cool. I would buy his action figure.
Yeah, this piece was fun to do, and I am a big fan now of the Pentel pocket brush. I highly recommend it. So Electro is most voted for, and I want to get to talking more about Spider-Man 4, since obviously that's the one we're making. So I'll probably be doing either Alistair Smythe or Kingpin next. And I'm going to change it up here a little bit too, trying to, ideally if I can, in between working on other commissions and comic book work, get other characters featured on the show as well. I had an excellent suggestion, G1 Optimus Prime, so I'm definitely going to be getting that done soon. And if there's any characters you want to see featured on the show, please leave a comment or contact me on my website. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and keep telling your stories.